Thanks for joining us for Season 7 of the Hospitality Hangout, a hospitality-focused podcast where the founders of Branded Strategic Hospitality share their insights and bring technology and innovation leaders that are making things happen in the industry we love. My name is Jimmy Frischling, otherwise known as the Finance Guy. I'd like to introduce my partner, Mr. Michael Schatzberg, also known as the Restaurant Guy.
And thanks for that introduction, Jimmy. And to all those listening, feel free to call me Shatsy. And together, we are the personalities behind Branded Strategic Hospitality. We work at the intersection of hospitality, food service, technology, innovation, robotics, and capital. Jimmy, you see what I did there?
I see what you did there.
I threw a little tease in there because we got a great show and a great guest.
Dropped a little Easter egg. Easter egg in there.
A little nugget there I threw in there. Before we get into it, Jimmy, I got to just talk to you. I was sitting in the office yesterday, looking outside my window.
Were you pondering?
I was pondering again. And I'm saying to myself, if you have to find a solution to operate your business in hospitality today, where are you going to go find this solution? Where? Jimmy, where are you going to go? You go into the marketplace, Jimmy.
The marketplace.
You go to the branded marketplace. You go to brandedmarketplace.com. You've got hundreds and hundreds of some of the top solutions to solve some of the most pressing problems affecting hospitality operators today. So listen, if you have a great solution, if you have a tech, if you're a supplier, if you have something for the hospitality industry, then go to the marketplace at Branded Strategic. Email me at marketplace@brandedstrategic. We'll get you on in like minutes. Jimmy, I can onboard you in like 5 minutes. You're on the marketplace. Boom. And if you're looking for a solution, go to the brandedmarketplace.com and you're going to find everything you need. Jimmy, it's unbelievable. And Jimmy, what do you think it costs to be on the marketplace? What do you think?
This sounds very expensive. Thousands and thousands of dollars, I bet, even just to onboard.
Jimmy, you would think there's no baby formula. Gas is $12 a gallon. You would think inflation is hitting 30-40%. You would think it would be a fortune, but it's zero, Jimmy, because we're giving back to the community, Jimmy. That's what we do.
Shatz, how do we make money if we're charging zero?
Volume, Jimmy. We just make it up in volume. It's unbelievable. Jimmy, take it away. We got a great show.
All right. And by the way, I've been wearing my my Chico's Bail Bond shirt because that segment, that self-promotion was sponsored by Chico's Bail Bonds. You don't even need bail bonds anymore, but that's who sponsors the podcast. Thanks very much. Okay.
Let's not go there, Jimmy.
Okay, listen. We are very excited for today's episode. Our guest today is our friend, Mr. Buck Jordan, founder and CEO of Wavemaker Labs. We're going to have a really good time.
I don't think a day goes by that I don't see something about Buck and Wavemaker in the news. Am I wrong?
I got to tell you, man, if I got to Google a search on him. It's
blowing up
my
mailbox.
It's blowing up my mail, blowing up my inbox, blowing up my internet. Here we go. Buck, I know you're really thinking now, who the hell booked me with these guys? But we are going to have a lot of fun, and we're really excited to have you here because you're a trailblazer, my friend. We'd like you to take the lead. Give us a little background about yourself and, of course, your pitch on Wavemaker Labs.
No, thanks. Great to be here, guys. More often than not, I'm known as the robot guy. So we make a great team. I'm happy to be here. So Wavemaker Labs is really trying to, its mission is to automate the supply chain of food from seed to fork, with the outcome being higher quality food, less cost to the masses. Practically, what that means is that we are taking the highest consumption food categories in the United States and automating them. We believe that our business will end up along two tracks. One, supplying the existing brands with automation solutions and helping them, kind of modernize and reinvent themselves. And then two, we are also building a suite of digitally native brands that we'll be operating. So it's a fun business, about 200 engineers, and thanks for having me.
Awesome, Buck. Thanks so much. And before we take a deeper dive, let me tell you, there's a lot more. You make it sound so like, oh, yeah, we're doing this. We're making robots. And there's a lot to get into. And we're going to take a real deep dive because you're doing a lot. And I'm not kidding around. I mean, you are really all over the news with your Flippy and your Chippy and the miso
Scoopy.
and the this and the that. It's all over the place. But you know what? When we first met, I remember in Vegas, and you have a very unique story that goes beyond this. I mean, let's take a deeper dive. You were a captain and a pilot in the California Army National Guard. I mean, you were flying like crazy jet planes and stuff like that, right? I mean, and you didn't just, this is not your first rodeo. I mean, you found two investment firms before Miso Robotics and Wavemaker. I mean, you've done it all. So let's just give me a little background on how you go from pilot, captain, flying crazy. I don't know what you're flying, Harriers, F-18 Hornets, something crazy, B-1 bombers, something exotic, I'm sure. And now you're making robots. Tell us how?
Yeah.
Buck, this is Shatsy's Fraser Crane moment. You're on the sofa. Shatz is listening.
Right.
Talk to us.
I mean, the Army was so much fun, right? But eventually, you gotta stop being Peter Pan and grow up, But just had such a blast. I flew Blackhawks and Kiowas. Before that, I was a tank.
I always
officer.
wanted to fly a Blackhawk. Buck, how do I get to fly one of those? Tell me.
Man, you just open up your checkbook and probably
stick with your day job, Shatsy.
No, but
maybe I should not do that.
Well, take out some life insurance first. But my first exposure to automation was really when I was an armor officer. So back in 2002, I was going through tank training in Fort Knox, Kentucky, and all of a sudden across the radio waves comes, everyone freeze. There's autonomous vehicles coming through, and this is 2002. What the hell are autonomous vehicles? And so what I found was like 4 basically armored personnel carriers, fully unmanned, just like whiz by me at 40 miles an hour. And that was my first kind of exposure to automation. And I always kind of like that idea, the idea that robots will be doing things that humans either too dangerous to do or don't want to do. And so, long story short, that was the germ that kind of.
I'm loving the idea, Buck. That I'm loving that 20 years ago, our Army had like self-driving trucks and tanks and stuff. I think that's awesome. Win for the good guys, huh, Jimmy?
I love it. Listen, I want to. I love the story. I love the background. I want to now start moving into Wavemaker and what you're doing. It's an incredible story. I'd like to take a minute and talk about your model. Unlike a traditional VC, you are essentially a holding company focusing on crowdfunding for your companies. I do think that is very innovative and on par for how you look at businesses and opportunities. I believe
I had that idea 20 years ago, Jimmy.
Yep, I remember when you told it to me, Shatz. By the way, to our listeners, I don't remember
Facebook was my idea. Remember, I talked about Facebook.
Yep. Oh, you were on it. Yep. You wanted to be the Facebook.
These guys are killing me.
I believe your average check size in your rounds, these crowdfunding rounds, is $3,000. This certainly opens up the doors for many people to invest and get involved. Almost a democratization of venture investing. Can you share why you went this route and the success you're having?
Yeah, I mean, first of all, I think there's a huge movement that a lot of VCs are not really paying attention to, and that is like crowdfunding is becoming a bigger and bigger portion of the overall overall dollars put into the space. And I would argue that venture capital as an asset class has never been more popular than it is today. People are all about tech. They're reading about tech millionaires everywhere, and everyone wants to be part of it, not just the 1% who happen to live in New York, LA, or SF. So all of a sudden, with crowdfunding, you can essentially like open up this incredible asset class to the world, not just the United States or just San Francisco, and you can raise serious dollars. Miso Robotics has raised $75 million through the crowd. My companies, overall are going to raise probably $150 million this year just through the crowd. And why do I like it? I like it because I really do like the democratization of it. I like the reliability of it, the fact that you can always get capital out of it. It's just, can you tell the right story? And then, mostly I like the control. I think early on in the company, it's better for the founders, which is me in this case, to maintain control of your business before you start letting it go and into the hands of VCs.
That's awesome, by the way. How many investors do you have in the crowdfund off that? Like, $150 million. 3,000. Jimmy, do the math. That's like 10 million investors.
I think seven investors.
I knew it was something.
Yeah,
I knew it was something big.
Big number.
It's a big number. Listen, let's talk a little bit. Let's take a little deeper dive. Let's talk about some of the brands that you are incubating, because I think some of these brands are what we've come to. It's almost like household names now that we're hearing. Paistro, our friend Massimo, who's a guest on the podcast. He'll never return. Miso Robotics, Mike Bell, guest on the podcast. He'll never come back on. No, all kidding. So we've had Paistro, one of your brands. Miso Robotics, we talk about. You have a partnership with Morimoto, the Nami brand, which automates bowl making. Baba, is it Babacino or Babacino?
Bobacino.
which automates the bobacino, which automates the boba drinks. I mean, talk about these brands. How'd you come up with these? Why these? Give us a little background on like why Paistra, why the miso and this kind of stuff.
Yeah, well, I mean, we're trying to take the biggest problems in the restaurant industry, all the problems that your clients and friends complain about, dishwashing. We're automating dishwashing, not just making a dishwasher, by the way, but there's more to it than that. We're automating frying. No one likes to fry with miso, and then we're also taking out like the biggest food categories. Pizza, super highly automatable business or product, and widely consumed. So we're taking out pizza. And it's in terms and Paistro has like a massive backlog of orders. Frankly, we're gonna be shipping them next year. Like we're already sold out. So for us, we're really excited about doing two things. One, building our own brand, but two, really kind of enabling existing brands to scale faster and better. Because I think that like the pizza chains in the world, really any of the food brands in the world, they don't have any business building robotics. But what are their options? Their options up until now has been to go to Middleby, Well-Built, Henny Penny, like the existing infrastructure guys who've been supplying the industry with this nondescript stainless steel stuff in the back of the kitchen, and they do really good work. But the future is automated, driven by AI, computer vision, and it requires a different skill set. And so we're here for the brands to do that, but we also always maintain our own brand, our own foot in the pool.
Very excited by all of this. Let's keep talking about innovation and specifically conception. How ideas are formulated. Since you're engaging in a brand from day zero, you have the ability to speak to operators, talk about their goals, any issues, problems, challenges, etc. And Wavemaker will go out and essentially build the company around it. Is it really as simple as talking to like a major quick serve restaurant and telling them telling you what's the pain point that they would love Wavemaker to solve? If it's a Mexican joint, it could be rolling out burritos. If it's a burger joint, as you said, it could be the fries. And then you go out and begin the R&D to address those pain points. Is that how this is working?
Well, I mean, like put yourself in their shoes. You're a big brand, big global tier one brand. You've got a strong marketing. You really know operations, but like, do you know how to build a robot, or do you know anything about AI or computer vision? You don't. And so when we come along and we've easily got the largest portfolio and best track record of robotics in food in the world right now. When we come along and say like, look, oh, well, shoot, we'll do a quick timing study in the back of house. And, for a very low amount of money, we're not trying to make money on this thing. And then we come out with like 12 tasks in the back of house that can be automated. And here's the cost and time to automate each one of those. And we pick one, basically. So idea generation is we go and pull the ideas out of our partners, and then we make sure those partners own a piece of the business, so that they're well incentivized and that they're part of the product development process. And then we go ahead and raise tens of millions of dollars to go finance this very long, expensive, arduous robotic journey that we go on with them.
That's awesome.
And if I can just say this, like the germ of this, because like I come from a venture background. I started a venture fund. And
I thought you were a pilot. I thought we talked about being a pilot. Wait a minute, weren't you a pilot?
Yeah.
In his spare time, he's running venture funds.
I thought you were flying helicopters. All of a sudden, you're a venture guy now? You never said anything about that. All right, keep going.
Yeah, I mean, deployed about $150 million, pretty broadly, but ended up having a lot of success in restaurants. But like the two biggest problems in investing is market risk. Does anybody want to buy this problem, buy the solution? And then two, execution risk. Can this team actually build what you're trying to build? And so, we mitigate that by starting with a big brand, someone who can fund all the revenue of this thing through the Series B, incentivizing them to stay on board. So market risk, check. We think we do a pretty good job of getting that up. And then execution risk, well, we tackle that in a couple of ways. One, we're always building with our own team. We don't fund outside teams or outside businesses. But two, we're also building this incredible shared tech stack. So for instance, like in like dispensing for NAMI and dispensing for Paistro, like we build the same dispenser for both and slot it in. And then like, the software control system for Paistro and Bobacino and NAMI is the same software control system. And the autonomous vehicles, system for Graze, which is our commercial lawnmower, and Future Acres, which is our crop transport, is the same autonomous system, just 80% the same, 20% modified for the application. So we're building this kind of universal tech stack that saves a tremendous amount of time, money, and expense when it comes to developing the next product.
I love it, man. This is awesome. Sticking to, let's talk about partnering with restaurants. We touched a little bit, Jimmy touched a little bit on this. You guys started a new partnership with a great friend of Brandon's and ours, David Bloom, another guest on the podcast. Again, another guest probably will never be on the podcast again. But having said that, we got him once, and that's no, all seriousness. Wing Zone, and launching Wing Zone Labs. And the idea is to continue to innovate and use Wing Zone Labs to drive innovation for Wing Zone, the brand, and literally create the franchise of the future. With this, you're now building an operation division to handle food service. Can you share a little bit more about this and what you're doing?
Yeah,
can any brand jump into this?
Any brand can jump into this. They probably best do it with us, honestly. That's
what I meant. Any brand contact you and get this going.
Yeah, for sure. First of all, David Bloom is like one of the best operators in the industry. Like I wish I could talk him into coming over to work with me, but I couldn't afford him probably.
I could probably talk. You want me? I could probably talk.
Yes, please. I'm begging.
Let me make a few phone calls. Let me make a few phone calls. It's safe with me.
All right, good. So we're actually running a franchise. We're going to be running restaurant operations because like we know how hard that is. But we really need to build that muscle. If we're out there talking to the major brands out there and we don't know a thing about running a restaurant, I think that's a problem. And so we really got to cut our teeth on building Wing Zone and other franchises. But we're not just going to grab any franchise. We want to grab franchises that are in the path of automation. And Wing Zone is a customer of Miso Robotics, and we know that we're going to take a tremendous amount of labor out of that franchise system. Honestly, if anybody wants to jump on a franchise, you should jump on a Wing Zone because like we are stripping the labor out of that thing. It's going to be way more efficient.
Is that breaking news, Jimmy?
That could be breaking news, Shaq.
Breaking news.
That is breaking news. If you want to jump on a franchise, Wing Zone right now, franchise is going for half price today. Half price just on the podcast.
Yeah.
Don't tell David Bloom that.
Yeah, call David Bloom and say Buck sent you. Buck sent you.
Exactly. Mention Buck, code Buck for 50% off. Yeah. All right. I apologize. Keep going.
No, it's great. So we believe that the future of restaurants is automated, and we think that there's a path to get there. It starts with the cobotic world where Flippy might be in there working the fryer, but there's still humans working in around him. But we do think that in 5-6 years, the real future is a fully autonomous future, and so we're kind of working towards that.
So I want to stay on the topic of franchises, and I'm gonna quote you here for.
You giving 50 off too, Jimmy?
I'm not giving 50 off. David Bloom's a big man. I'm not pissing him off. Listen,
I wouldn't mess with him.
I want to share a quote. I believe it's your quote, and to our listeners, please don't shoot the messenger here. You could yell at Buck if you want to, but you've actually questioned if franchising is dead, and if so, how do you kill it?
Dun, dun,
so
dun.
I think that's a leading into, I think, a really interesting discussion. Give us a little more about this thought and the process. Franchising is dead. Buck Jordan.
Well, let me just walk you through the logic. All right. So in the 60s and 70s, every QSR went 99% franchising as fast as they possibly could. Why they do that? They did that because it costs anywhere from like $500,000 to $3 million to build a restaurant, depending on the brand and a bunch of other things, right? And then you got to manage dozens of people on and off a shift. And so like just offload that expense and that management headache to the franchisees. That's what the brands did. And so, but the future, if the future really is 100% fully automated, and if the future successful brands are going to be digitally native brands, meaning that their menus have been designed to be 100% automated, then do you really need franchising again? So if all of a sudden you have like a NAMI machine, which makes Morimoto Michelin quality, grain bowls, and it's like a fifth the size, more like a big vending machine. It produces incredible food. You can also deliver out of it. Like, do you really need to have a franchisee do that, especially when you're a big brand and you can finance the cost of that machine? I'm not sure. Because all of a sudden,
I think no would be the answer. No.
I think no is the answer.
Okay, to our listeners, Michael Schatzberg says franchising.
Whoa, Jimbo! Holy cow, Jimbo! That's Buck said that. I didn't say that.
Buck and Chatsy.
I don't know why you hate franchising so much.
We're definitely getting disinvited to international franchising show. That's for sure. Not going to that show anymore. Okay, keep going.
But here's a question, though. Like this franchising system has been around for a long time, and its tentacles are like all throughout these brands. And I don't know how these brands defranchise. I don't even know if it's possible. It seems like a really difficult thing. And so, do these brands are they going to be stymied by new digitally native brands coming up and selling higher quality food for half the price? I don't know.
Yeah, listen, it's an interesting question, and I think it's a great discussion, and we'll continue that on the next time we have you on for sure. Let's change gears a little bit. Let's just talk about we're talking about robotics, and it takes time to make these. You had said that the Paistro is backlogged; you're completely sold out. So let's just talk about how long does it take on average to make these robots, and if I have a whole bunch of restaurants, and I want to get one of these Flippies or Chippies or something in my store, how long does it take to get it going? Can you give us a little bit about that?
Yeah, I mean, like assuming you have the money together, it's going to take 9 to 12 months.
Jimmy's loaded. Jimmy,
you guys got the money.
Yeah, Jimmy's got his Amex Platinum card, right? Yeah, Jimmy's ready to go.
Write me a check. I'm fundraising.
Let's pretend my Amex is in good standing.
Yeah, right. I think you lost it at Silver Rain last time I saw you. Anyway, this is the problem with robotics. It takes freaking forever, and it costs so much money. So like you're going to have a working prototype in 9 to 12 months that you might be able to have an attended working prototype in a store, but an engineer is standing right there, and probably another year for a fully productized version of, that you can go to scale with. So it's like 2 years. You're talking like $10 to $20 million, depending on kind of like the complexity of the machine. It's a whole journey. But once you're there, you've slashed your real estate costs in half. Probably you've eliminated the bulk of your labor. The juice is worth the squeeze, but you got to have scale on the back end, and that's why we partner with brands.
There you go. I like it a lot. Okay, before we move on, you've covered pizza, bowls, boba, fried food, even apple picking. So what's next for food service, robotics, and AI?
I mean, I'm just
I
Googling.
saw a lawnmower on the website too, Jimmy.
Yeah. All right, let's look. That was
food service.
That was one of the first ones. I kind of got off track, but look, it's agriculture, like grass.
Bring it back.
Okay, yeah, grass is 2% of the American.
I love it. You kidding me?
All right, so I mean, look, we're like real simple.
What kind of grass you talking about, Buck?
Yeah, well, anyway, so real simple.
California guys, got to watch out, Jimmy.
I got a list of the highest consumption food categories in the United States, and I'm automating them. So what's left? We're definitely doing sushi. We're definitely doing sandwiches. We have a coffee shop that's coming. That's pretty much fully built right now. They're going to be hearing about pretty soon. It makes make you any kind of coffee drink, but plus like heat up sandwiches in a combi oven. But sandwiches and sushi are the next ones that kind of in the pipe.
I love it. Sushi in the pipe. And by the way, that's team branded. Big fan of the sushi. Okay. Buck, it turns out while we started this podcast, because we genuinely like talking to people. And we've learned along the way that our guests also, have questions for us. So let's kick off our talking back, where we offer our guests a chance to ask us questions. Nothing's off the table. Buck, the microphone is yours.
Oh, geez. Well, I mean, how do you think the franchising industry is going to deal with heavy automation?
Ooh, Schatzy, teed it up for you.
I mean, my first thoughts, just watching you guys over at Wavemaker, and what I've been reading about with Miso and some of the brands that you guys are in. It seems that some of these are franchise brands, some of them are company owned brands, but it seems that I think you guys are doing a lot of work with White Castle. Now that's all company owned, right? So that's like, that's a great deal. They're all company owned, which is kind of incredible. So there it doesn't really come into play. But I think I've read you guys are working with some franchise operators. I don't know if you're working on the corporate level or with the franchise operator, but it seems to me, I mean, if I had 100 stores and I could just reduce my labor by 5, 10 points, 15 points, whatever it is, I'd be very happy continuing to run my 100 stores. The margins are far better in the QSR than they are in the full service space, and I could keep slugging along. But I think to your point, maybe as your your products continue to grow and get better, maybe it's a whole new franchising model where it's not these brick and mortar stores. It's like you said, that the Morimoto has, it's just something you plop a robotics machine that makes bowls in an airport or something like that, small footprint, and you're just loading it up with food. I think it coexists.
The other thing I was going to add, something we've been looking at in from our perspective, in this incredibly fragmented industry, the most fragmented asset class I've ever seen, and therefore we think optionality plays a huge role. You commented earlier, Buck, about why the franchising model was originated, and I couldn't agree more. It was the most economically efficient model at that point in time, but things change. So do I think large companies that are like ocean tankers can turn on a dime? Of course they can't. But a lot of emerging brands that are now gearing up to grow their store count, I believe what you're doing in the robotics and automation space are going to afford them far more optionality, whether or not they wish to have a brick and mortar and they wish to have a traditional model, or they wish now to have far more, I guess, the ability to open up a store count more efficiently, smaller footprints, and leveraging automation. And I think you're going to see, again, a lot of all of the above. But at the end of the day, you're putting in a new a widget out there, which is the ability to operate these stores and a great deal of the machinery on a fraction of the headcount. So I think that's a very powerful change that we're going to keep seeing. More power to the guests to take care of themselves, more power to the brands that can actually leverage robotics to keep their headcount as low as possible. I've learned recently that some obscene amount of restaurants go out of business, like 70% in the first couple of years, because of the cost of labor, because of payroll. So what your solution is doing is going to allow brands to manage more efficiently their payroll, and that's a powerful thing.
Yeah,
you betcha, man. If you could lower your payroll, that's a big help. No question about it. I agree, Jimmy. As usual, you just take my brilliant answer and just make it that much better.
I talk good. I talk good.
Yeah, no, you talk swell.
Talk good.
Listen, let's just change gears a little bit here, okay? We always ask a poll every week. We put out a poll on Tuesdays on LinkedIn. Just fun little facts about restaurant, food service, etc. Last week we had our friend John Davey from Buyer's Edge Platform chime in on what's his favorite go-to ice cream shop. Van Leeuwen, Ben & Jerry's, Cold Stone Creamery, and Haagen-Dazs. John picked Ben & Jerry's, but we got over 10 billion votes through LinkedIn. The number was 10 billion, Jimmy. Haagen-Dazs was actually the winner. And Jimmy, I think you picked Haagen-Dazs, I think.
Yeah, I picked it. I'm in touch with the ice cream community.
Yeah, you were one. It was over 10 billion people. It was actually the largest poll we've ever done. So, Buck, with the July 4th holiday week coming up and our country's birthday, we're going to go with favorite American chain restaurant, okay? Applebee's, Longhorn Steakhouse, Chili's, or Ruby Tuesday. Buck, what do you think?
I don't think you can ask Buck to choose his favorite American chain. He's got to play with everybody. I mean, Buck, if you want to answer that question,
all right? How about this? What do you think? We'll probably, if we had 10 billion on the ice cream shop, we may have more people on this one, maybe 20 billion.
Who does Buck think America's going to choose? Who's America choosing?
What are they choosing? Applebee's, Longhorn Steakhouse, Chili's, or Ruby Tuesday?
Those are my choices.
I can only put 4 in the LinkedIn poll. That's all they give us.
Yeah. Well, I was going to choose some of my customers actually, but Applebee's, Longhorn. All right, Chili's.
All right, Chili's. Jimbo?
Chili's.
Who are you picking? What's America going to pick?
I was going to go Chili's as well, but I'd like to have a little action on this. So I'm going to back Applebee's, and particularly that great song and dance they brought out, the Applebee's and the Oreo shake. It's date night, baby. Come on, America. You love the song. You love the commercials. I need Applebee's. I think Chili's going to win, but I'm going to take Applebee's.
I got to be honest, Jimbo, I'm going Applebee's too. Let's stay tuned for next week. We'll find out what America votes. And I'm telling you, get out there and vote because we're looking for 20 billion votes this year, this week. All right, Jimbo. All right. Take it away.
By 20 billion, it might have been a little exaggeration. We're hoping for like maybe 50,000.
50,000.
50,000.
6 people.
50,000. Okay, now it's time.
That includes you, Jimmy.
It's time for 50,001. It's time for our crystal ball moment, a chance for our guests to put on their Kreskin or Miss Cleo hat and predict the future. Buck, how do you see restaurants and dining 2 years from now in relation to hospitality and technology? Kind of think I know which direction you're going to go, but Buck, hospitality tech 2 years from now, what do you think?
Yeah, I mean,
Meet George Jetson. Dun, 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 dun.
I mean, my answer changes on 2 years versus 5 years versus 10 years. But I think in 2 years you're going to see a proliferation of really a reinvention of the vending machine space. And vending machines suck, right? I mean, like vending machines are like the food of last resort. It's prepackaged food for you, made in a factory, heated up in a microwave just for you, right? Nobody really wants it. But like that whole thing is reinventing itself because the cost of robotics is dropping to the floor, and you're gonna have really high quality food like Paistro and others like Cafe X, making incredibly high quality food out of a small form factor vending machine, fully automated. You can see a proliferation of these small kiosks out there. But I think in like 5-6 years, that's when when the big brands start getting threatened by a lot of digitally native incumbents, and they better watch out.
I like Buck's answer. I have to tell you, Schatz, I don't think we've ever had somebody where the question, so many of our guests have been in the software space or in the operator space, and 2 years is like a lifetime to battle. And when you're talking to Buck, and you're talking about how long it takes from idea generation to the minimal viable product, and with an engineer, and then to industrialize it, his time frame, he's thinking a little more medium to long term. So 2 years out, I think we're going to see I love the idea of the reinvention of the vending machine. 5 years out, everyone get the F out of the way. Wavemaker's coming down the pike. All right, listen.
Yeah, I got to tell you, Jimbo, I've been at the airport just recently, and I saw I think it's out of Chicago. I think like the fridge. I forget what that's called. You can see the vending machines are changing, and this is like literally they're like salads and stuff in like containers that people. It's like fresh food is definitely coming. To your point, I agree. So that sounds to me like the first iteration is you're seeing it already being launched. I see it at airports and stuff like that. Buck, listen, great answer. Let's go.
Comment?
Oh yeah, sure. Go, add it. Go. I love comments. Go.
Yeah. So my call sign in the Army as a pilot was Hot Pocket, because I was doing my MBA at night as I was doing Blackhawk training. And the only food available in the area was a vending machine with Hot Pockets. That's how I got my name.
I got to tell you, it couldn't be a better name. Jimmy still goes with Maverick. Jimmy's been Mav. Yeah,
but there was a time in my life, my call sign name was 2 pieces of pizza, cheese fries, and a tab.
Super. Jimmy's there. Supersize it. That was Jimmy Stagger. Supersize it. Come on. Yeah, Jimmy's supersize it. All right. Let's go to the Hot Pockets and supersize. Let's go to the branded quickfire. Buck, I'm going to ask you 5 lightning round questions. Don't think too long. Give me the first answer that comes to mind. Are you ready?
Sure. Let's go.
When you were in kindergarten, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Politician.
Where are you getting dinner from tonight?
Hot Pocket.
Yeah, Hot Pocket. Every day, every night.
Is that Gino's Hot Pocket? Favorite food city in the world?
God, favorite food city? Barcelona, for sure.
Nice.
Where's your favorite place to travel?
I like to hit a beach. I end up at Hawaii quite a bit.
Oh, it's not a bad place to be. All right, if you were to challenge Jimmy Rye to a game of foosball, what do you have better odds of beating?
I think I don't know. I think maybe Jimmy, because like Michael, you're like blowing up. You got so much energy. I feel like you might like move it quick. I don't know.
Oh, hey, look at this guy.
Is that true? Who's the player?
I got to be honest with you. I don't know, but just that you picked, you said you'd beat Jimmy. That's huge. That's huge. It's.
I got to tell you, Shad, that's a good win for you today. We had one of the smartest, most disruptive guests in terms of what he's doing in the industry. Chose you, Shad. This is a good day for you. Good day.
I got to tell you, I'm going to scratch off lottery right downstairs right now. I'm scratching off some lotteries. Give me a 20 spot, Jimmy.
And I respect Buck's opinion. He's wrong, of course, but I respect his opinion. Wrong.
Yeah,
wrong.
You give Jimmy a couple McAllens. You put Jimmy foosball, a couple McAllens. Let me tell you something. Those wrists are flying.
Yes, wrists are flying. Listen, Buck, in all seriousness, we want to thank you for joining us today on the podcast. And and for sharing your great insights. We love what you're doing at Wavemaker. We so love how you're looking at tech and innovation and really making things happen, as we say in this industry that we love so much. And again, how you're bringing value and margin optimization to the industry is just tremendous. To our listeners, if you want to get in touch with Buck directly, you can email the podcast team at podcast@brandedstrategic.com, and we'd be happy to make the introduction for you. To our listeners, we want to thank you so much for tuning in with us. Oh, wait, I see, Buck, you have a question, sir?
Let me throw a quick plug in.
Well, Buck actually told me that he wanted to. Okay, go ask your question, because then I want to tell the listeners about your gracious gift that you'd be giving everybody today.
Oh, okay, sounds good. The half off Wing Zone franchises, right? Yeah, tell David Bloom you don't know where I am.
That was David Bloom's gift. You haven't heard your gift yet.
Yeah, sounds good. I mean, so before we close, I mean, one thing we're looking to do next at Wavemaker is we're really looking to kind of bring the industry in to our cap table as investors, because we want to be able to have the people who are disrupting actually have a hand in the disruption that we're doing. We want big franchise groups to come and be part of us and help us really write the future of franchising in this automated world. And so we're looking to kind of put a group like that together, and really partner with us in a deep level.
That's awesome, by the way. I love it. That sounds amazing. And I just wanted to share with our listeners that you have so graciously, because everybody loves a robot. And the idea, Jimmy, of having a robot in your house making pizzas is so incredibly cool that Buck has graciously, remember when he said the Paistro was sold out? What he meant to say, that the first 100 callers will get a Paistro to their home, where they can have their own pizza making in their home, courtesy of Wavemaker Labs. I got to tell you, Buck, first 50 off Wing Zone franchises. Now the most gracious guest, Jimmy, Buck.
Yeah, I have to say, Schatzy has never made up more generous offers for a guest ever. It's clear, Buck, Schatzy has a fondness for what you're doing, your company, for the industry, because he's never been so generous with someone else's money and time and effort. Okay, but as I was saying, to our listeners,
I think he wants me to go out of business.
Absolutely not.
We appreciate you tuning in with us. We know there are so many other podcasts out there, but our subscriber base continues to grow, and we love it. Please join us next week as we welcome our guest, Stratus Morfinson, the founder and CEO of the Brooklyn Dumpling Shop. He also is on the forefront of tech and robotics.
I mean, talk about innovation, Jimbo, right?
No, this is a great duo. By the way, we should connect Stratus and Buck. And by the way, they could do a lot of things together. No question.
I totally agree. All right, that would be a great connection.
That's for another time. Oh, and finally, if you haven't done so already, please subscribe to the podcast so you don't miss out on any of our exciting guests coming up. This is Jimmy Frischling, again, with great appreciation to Buck. But Jimmy Frischling, your finance guy, signing off and passing it to Mr. Schatzberg, a.k.a. Share.
Yep. Thank you for the kind words, Jimmy. It's Shatsy, a.k.a. Restaurant Guy. Buck, thank you. Thank you to all the listeners, and cheers, everybody.
See you guys.
Cheers, guys. Thank you.